Greetings and welcome back to another Maladek Does Reviews. Today's game, Eternal Edge or Eternal Edge Plus? You've got to be a little careful of this one. This one kind of seems to change its name. The one I've got for it, the name it's given me, is Eternal Edge. On Steam it shows as Eternal Edge Plus, but I need to make you fully aware before we start this one. This game is in extreme early alpha. It is not yet available to buy on Steam. I don't even think there's a specific date given for when it's going to be released. So be aware of that. We are reviewing this in an extremely early state. So we're not actually going to give this a review score. We're just going to talk about some of the pros and cons of the game in its current state. Now today's review is being supported not just by myself, but by our lovely friend Quantification, friend of the channel, and of course, wonderful reviewer, and yes, Quantification, you know, the guy with more of a forehead than I have when I'm bald. Let's dive right into this one. So gameplay elements. Eternal Edge is an exploration adventure style game that clearly takes a lot of inspiration from games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But it does actually pull it off very well. As I say, it's in alpha, so there are some sort of areas where it's not so effective at this, but on the whole, just from the screenshots alone, when I saw the game, when it first came into my inbox, I need to make sure you're aware, I got this game free, that's how I'm playing it before it's released. I'm pretty sure that's obvious, but there is no inherent, I don't have to review it well or review it poorly or anything. The game is given, I can review it. There is no, there's no directive that I have to say anything specific about this one. So I just want to make you guys aware of that as full disclosure. Having said that, stuff like weapon degradation, which says it's in there, I don't think it is. If I'm honest, if it is, it's so negligible, it's almost not worth having it in there. But I'm pretty sure it's just not been coded in yet. On the other hand, I would far prefer this sort of negligible weapon degradation to the Breath of the Wild, hit an enemy 2 times and your weapon's already broken system. It's just a pain. In this game, it just feels nice. You pick up a weapon, it's a new weapon, you can see the stats, it's very, very simple. You smack, you're done. It's a very basic combat system, so there are certain nuances that you're missing, but I'm willing to accept that, if I'm honest. It feels right. Attacks, on the other hand, can sometimes be a little bit frustrating. There is no auto-targeting, so to speak, so if you're looking at an enemy, you don't lunge forward then attack if they're a little bit further away, you just kind of attack on the spot, which kind of leaves you doing like that. You're never hitting an enemy, you've got to walk right up to them, which gives them a lot of time to kind of charge their attack and whatnot, so it can be a little bit awkward. On the other hand, this is an alpha game. I'm willing to accept that this is going to change. There is one aspect of the combat which I think really could do with a rework, and that is the aerial attack. So it's your standard, you leap up with a sword, you smash down, you cleave. This one has a ridiculous, and I mean it is stupidly long, time where you are not able to attack anyone after you've done that, so there's like a recovery time afterwards, which can feel a little bit, it's just not fair, because what you do is you leap, you attack, and you're stuck there for a while. Now, I found a way of mitigating this is to combat roll, spam the combat roll button as much as possible, which basically means you jump attack, run away, jump attack, run away, which is a very, it doesn't flow very well, I don't think, for combat, but it is a way of getting around the issue I have there. If you want to try that, feel free once this game's released. It may be, and as I say, it may be that this gets fixed soon, but realistically at this point, if you are just trying to do an attacking style playthrough, you won't want to use the ground attack, because by the time that you're able to attack again, you've been hit 3 or 4 times by the enemies that are around you. And that has a big problem because the ground attack doesn't do any additional damage, it just does area of effect damage, so everyone near you takes damage, so it's got that going for it, but there's no actual inherent bonus to it if you're going on one person. So that's my thoughts on that one. So visuals, graphics, GFX, whatever you want to call it, this is where this game really thrives, I think. It's stunning, it's got beautiful, vivid colours, the art style is very, very adorable. I actually really like the art of this game. It's one of the main reasons I wanted to get a review out of this game, because you know, some of the elements do need polishing. The graphics are actually really pretty. I love it. There's some assets missing because it's an alpha, but I honestly won't lie. I didn't notice any of them. It does warn you some might be missing, but a lot of the time I was like, no, this seems pretty reasonable. It feels like a complete game. I didn't really notice any issues. I was running at 1440p and all of the textures looked really pretty. So with graphics, I just think that overall the game, it's not what I was expecting for an alpha, really. I was expecting much more cut and paste style assets, but it really did look nice to play. You could totally get away if the game was a little longer. You'd get away with a few hours worth of fun. Just with the assets that are in there alone. So the fact that some of them are missing actually fills me with a lot of intrigue, because that sounds like we're going to get even more. And as long as they're going in the same direction as they currently have, more graphics, more happy. Now we come to a little bit more of an awkward part. The audio, music, and sound effects. And I'm going to split these two up, as with most games, I think I'm going to, because on one aspect, this game is absolutely fantastic. The music is second to none, actually. It's a really nice soundtrack. As Quantification told me, it's a very kind of nostalgic feel. Takes you back to kind of your N64, your GameCube days of really relaxing music while you're going on one of these sort of open world adventures, and that is really good. I want to credit, you know, the developers for that one. It's a really, really nice game in terms of its music. The sound effects definitely are a point of contention for me. I really do feel like they need to improve on them, because what you get with the sound effects is a lot of repeated assets. So, like the combat roll, you know, some games, you know, it might make a noise every once in a while, and then it's gonna be a little bit of a rolling noise. This one is a much louder, punchier rolling noise, and it's the same one each time, and it can get really grating. And you end up with that with most of the sound effects assets in the game as it stands, which I guess, you know, is a very early build. So as I say, you can forgive a lot of these things, but it's worth bringing it up in a discussion like this, just so the developers know which parts would be. I think this is probably the most important thing that needs to be reworked. Possibly the combat we mentioned earlier could do with a little bit polishing, but yeah, no, definitely the sound effects can make or break a game, I find, so I would definitely encourage them to work hard on getting those sound effects just really crisp and nailed. As far as story elements go, this is a little bit of a mixed bag. It's early alpha, so you can't expect a full 60-hour story, and I'm not going to say that's what I'm expecting. The story, it's a fairly simple affair. It's an open world, dialogue choice mechanics, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's a save the world from an impending threat style thing. It's nothing we haven't seen before, but it's, you know, it's a tried and tested method. It works. And with the other stuff we've discussed, once that's polished, I think it's going to make a really nice story. One thing to note is that the side quests do actually feel like they're related to the story. Oftentimes you can get side quests in games where it's like, is there really any point in me doing this? But this is not one of them. It really does feel as if the side quests were made with the main story in mind. So you'll get stuff like, oh, find these people who've been captured by the great evil that you're trying to fight as the main quest. This is a side quest. You'll get some buffs, you'll get some potions, that kind of thing. And it does work fairly seamlessly. You go to the place. It's very much go from A to B with a lot of the side quests. You know, find me this, bring back, get reward. Find me this, bring back, get reward. Nice and simple. Rewards work quite nicely. They are fairly rewarding. A lot of the stuff I don't understand how it works. Stuff like leveling up, not a clue. It tells me I've leveled up. I'm like, hey, cool, I leveled up. No idea how to spend the level points. I don't know if there even is a level point. It may just be that you get a little bit more health and a little bit more of that. But it's worth mentioning, I think, in the story sort of area, because that's, you know, progression and stuff from doing story quests. So that's worth noting is that the side quests feel quite nice in terms of the story, but they are fairly basic at this point. I think it's not a bad way to go. It's not a bad way to go at all. And the final aspect we're going to be looking at here is the performance. Now, honestly, I was really impressed. In games like these, even in games that are past sort of closed alpha and into alpha and beta stages can be a lot worse. This game runs really smoothly. You get a few frame hiccups sort of here and there, and that's fine. It runs really smoothly. As I say, I'm running at 1440p now. I have got beefy hardware, but as we've seen from this review series, that means nothing if a game's not coded well, and this one actually does run pretty well. The only major issue I ran into is because I personally use the air assault attack, and it seems like that can be to my detriment, because I've had a few times where I've done a dive attack and got caught either on top of an enemy, where I can't then go down because I'm caught inside their hitbox or whatever it is, or caught on terrain doing this. So the air attack, as discussed previously, does need a little bit of work, and it would very much benefit from a little bit of balancing. But definitely try and, if the devs can listen to this and try and get some of that stuff fixed, that would be very, very useful. You know, it's not a deal breaker. You just have to wait a little bit of time for the game to go, oh, you're not meant to be there, or for the enemy to move to try and attack you while you're above him, and then he'll probably slide you off. You don't get stuck to him, so it's got that going for you. I never had to restart the game from any bugs. But, you know, it's worth mentioning there that that is a bug there. Apart from that, not many bugs that I know of. It ran pretty smoothly, actually, you know, in terms of the way the gameplay ran as well. It was a very nice and chill experience. I managed to go from point A to point B. The first time I played, I didn't realize there were save points. I thought it was an auto-saving style game, so I had to go right to the beginning. But after that, I was able to save and come back in and do a lot of stuff. So actually, on the whole, performance-wise was very impressive. I was not expecting to have a game which didn't crash on me at least 2 or 3 times when I loaded it, whilst being in closed alpha, so well done. Well done to the developers of Eternal Edge. I want to say that, you know, you've done a good job. You've done an absolutely fantastic job. All hail the King of the Land! And finally, a final sort of area we're going to look at. Now, I don't want to talk about price because it doesn't have a price yet, and I think it's disingenuous to start speculating a price based on such an early build. So we're going to ignore that section that we usually do, and I'm not going to give it a score. I just wanted to discuss whether you should watch this game, and personally I think if you like Breath of the Wild, I think you're going to like this. It's a given if you like that kind of game. But actually, as someone who really didn't find Breath of the Wild all that interesting, and didn't, you know, really like how that game works, especially with the degradation of weapon mechanics, I think this is still one to watch. I've spoken to Catch Me Quick, obviously my editor. He wasn't a fan, I won't lie to you, but he said he wasn't a fan because he didn't like Breath of the Wild or games of that nature, and not just Breath of the Wild, but sort of all those kinds of style of games, so it wasn't for him, whereas Quantification said he hasn't played Breath of the Wild, and he really enjoyed it, and he thinks he probably would enjoy Breath of the Wild. I didn't enjoy Breath of the Wild, and I love this game. I think it's quite a polarizing one. I think it's hard to make a decision on until we can find out what the finished product actually looks like. If those weapon degradation mechanics that are stated to be there are in there and are made worse, because as I say, I'm pretty sure they're not, but if they are in there, and they stay the same, that is a very compelling reason to have it, but I think they need to sort of maybe tone down the weapon drops, because you get sort of 6-7 weapons when you beat one squad of enemies, and your sword still hasn't broken. So maybe either turn down the weapon drops, or maybe tone up the degradation a little bit. Not to the degree Breath of the Wild did when you started that game. That was an absolute turn-off for me for the gameplay. But if they can tone down the weapon drops, I think you've got a very compelling argument there. So once again, thank you to you, the audience, the viewer, for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you give a little bit of a like and a follow to Eternal Edge. I believe I will have their Twitters in the description. I'm not going to link the Steam store page right now, but if you follow me on Twitter, it's at wizard_Maladek. I will post out their Steam store page as soon as it's live and you can purchase it, because I don't really think there's much point in giving you a store page that doesn't work. Although actually, no, maybe you will. You know what? I will. I'm going to put that store page in there so you can follow it and add it to your wishlist, so that the developers know that you love them. I hope you've had a wonderful time here. If you have, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Ding in that notification bell as you will. And don't forget to follow my editor at CatchMeChirping on Twitter. He's going to be linked down below, along with all of my socials, my Facebook, maybe? My Instagram, my Twitter, and my Discord, all going to be down there. You can follow me there. If in doubt, just Google Maladek the Wizard and then put whatever social media after it. I'm pretty much Maladek the Wizard on everything. If I'm not Maladek the Wizard, I'm wizard_Maladek. That's the same with Steam and Uplay and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for me, you can find me. Have a good one.